We got more clips from OTAs, and we're going to be taking a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers and getting our first solid look of Russell Wilson with the team. We're going to watch him throw the ball around, work through some drills, all that good stuff. But before we dig in, you need to click that subscribe button right now because we're going hot and heavy covering these clips of your favorite players. We're going hot and heavy on the rookies, the guys on new teams, all the vets, whatever we can find, it will be shared right here. Click that button. Stop missing out. Let's look at Russell Wilson, though. And we're going to start off with 2 minutes of clips. We'll run through them one time, and then multiple times after that, talking ball on the Steelers. But here he is. You're seeing the feet there. The one thing you'll notice from him, and compared to other quarterbacks, is he's pretty thick, which we all knew that, but you get a player in a different uniform, things just pop out differently. And he's a thicker boy. Ball coming out. Looking good there. Doing some drills. Hitting 16. You got George Pickens right there. I'm interested to see what the rapport between those two will look like. Him and George Pickens right when we get in season. I want to hear what they say about each other in training camp too, and mini camp. Maybe we'll get something here during OTAs. Here's him working on the bags, working on the feet. It did not go too hot in Denver, but Denver ain't going too hot either. Maybe different scenery. Maybe a different team, different coaching staff. There's him and Justin Fields. Ball gets out good. Ball gets out real good. Fields up top. Or to the right of him, or however you want to describe that. Short pass to 81. Stepping back. Just getting the ball comes out quick. The ball comes out in a hurry. He's not taking these throws off or lightly. I'll say that. That's the one thing. I cover a lot of clips. I look at a lot of quarterbacks. I watch a lot of practices. He's not taking any of these reps lightly. I'll say that much. He takes them seriously. The ball comes out. The ball comes out with a little extra mustard on it. Like he's putting thought into his throws. I can tell that. I don't know how I can tell it, but I can see it initially. I think from just looking at all these quarterbacks over the years, it's just a difference. He's putting a little extra oomph to it compared to a lot of other quarterbacks on basic drills. That means he's putting his heart and soul into it. That doesn't mean anything outside he's putting his heart and soul into it, but he is doing that. I can definitely tell you that he's putting a little extra oomph into it, which is always good, which is a good thing. And I think the Steelers made a good move getting him because it's a cheap deal. It's a cheap deal. They get to see what's under the hood here with Russell Wilson. Can he get him to bounce back? Will he bounce back? Can they get him to take a step forward? Is it just a bad marriage with the Broncos? What can they do with this guy? If he's too broken, they send him on his way. They move on. They see what happens. And they got Justin Fields there as a developmental backup. A high-end developmental backup they got on a good deal. And if that doesn't work out, where are they really out? But they got two quarterbacks here that have some upside in different ways. Russell Wilson, a veteran who has been productive throughout his career, had a little down slope, but you can make some stories behind it why, and maybe we can bounce back up. You got Justin Fields there. He's very talented. They got him on the cheap. He's got some upside. He's got some potential. Potential and upside's pretty much the same thing, but the top tier is there as well. So no matter what, say they both bust, what are you really out? What are you really out? And it's an improvement on the quarterback room. And it's on the cheap. You got a good veteran here that can at least be a game manager, maybe. That can at least be that. And then on the top end could be much more. What if he gets back? What if he can cook? What if he can? What if he just needs like a George Pickens or something? What if he just needs this system? What if he just needs this coaching staff? What if that's all he needs? What if not? Then you go to Justin Fields. See what happens with him. Can he take a step forward? What if he does? What if he does? You get to experiment that out for basically peanuts. Basically peanuts. So if none of this works out, you're more than likely got a top draft pick. You're more than likely going to mess with another quarterback, a younger guy, on a cheap price. But the odds are saying at least one of these dudes are going to do something. And with the Steelers, they're built well enough to where you only need to get this much out of your quarterback to make it to the playoffs or be heavily competitive to make the playoffs. That's the thing about this. You only need that much out of your quarterback. I know it's just a random hand in the middle of your screen, but you only need so much out of your quarterback. So if you get a little bit more than what you were getting the last few years, you guys are going to do something. You guys are going to do something. Not many people are talking about the Steelers as a whole instead of looking at these two quarterbacks and making memes out of them. But for fantasy purposes, it's a wild card, of course, and it could be a wild card throughout the whole season, and the Steelers could still be scratching together some wins and making the playoffs and being dangerous in the AFC North. All they have to do is stay healthy, develop, take a step forward, gel with this offense. There's a lot here. There's a lot of moving pieces here. Just think about it. We know the downside. But why stare at that? We know it. Both quarterbacks don't do well, and it doesn't work out. But what if Russ works out? What's that going to look like? I imagine he's going to push deep balls downfield, and who's that going to go to? That's probably going to go to George Pickens, who would be a surprise option in this passing game that could really benefit from a Russell Wilson because you're pushing deep balls to George Pickens. I imagine those two are going to link up pretty well. That would be like his Cortland Sutton where he's pushing it downfield. George Pickens will easily get over 1,000 air yards, probably push to like almost 1,500 and with him at quarterback, seeing a full load. So when he can't push it downfield, safety over top of man coverage or whatever, that means there's an outlet. Roman Wilson, the tight ends. Roman Wilson, if he's on the field being electric, guy to look out for. Accurate targets going his way. If he has a good feel of the offense, if he lines up, gets his pre-snap read, likes what he sees, and the top isn't available for George Pickens and he goes underneath, could be Roman Wilson on some drives. Could be a slower offense for fantasy because you got two good running backs. You got new quarterbacks. And this is an AFC North schedule that can get dirty any single Sunday, which means it could be just a weird, slow game. And then the next AFC North game could be high scoring. And then the next one could be projected to be high scoring, but it's in the rain, but it's low scoring. Could be like that. Could be ugly games here that Russell Wilson can just manage and then push it in certain moments of the game. And George Pickens just comes down with some balls. Could happen. Could happen. You can look at the upside here. You can't be too scared of that. We know the downside. And if that doesn't work out, you look at Justin Fields over there. We got rushing upside. We got rushing potential. We have an arm on him. We saw Chicago, but you can also say the same story with Russ. Chicago kind of did him dirty as well. They weren't working to get him pieces. The coaching staff wasn't great. Now we're in a new situation. He did well at Ohio State. He only had like 1 or 2 games where he did not look good. At Ohio State his whole career. He only had one. Is that Michigan State game? That kind of slowed up, and there was another game too. But outside of that, he was able to beat Michigan. He did well during his Ohio State career. That's college. He did have a few moments with Chicago. But what if it's Chicago? What if it's that? What if Justin Fields takes a step forward? There's a lot of questions with this offense that we're going to be looking at this entire offseason because these quarterbacks have some questions with their abilities, but we can definitely see where the goods are at in their game. But can it materialize? Because everybody in this league has potential. Can they reach it? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.